Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Artsbeat TV and Radio here on Westfield Community Programming, Channel 15, 89.5 FM WSKB, and our media partners at Southwick Community Programming and Agawam Media. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach, and today we're going down to Hartford because a brand new play called Queen of Basel by Hilary Bettis is about to open next week. It runs February 3rd through the 26th and actually streams on demand as well, February 19th through the 26th. Those of you that studied theater or literature in school may remember Strindberg's play Miss Julie, but Queen of Basel is an adaptation of that play set in Miami, where during the Basel Art every year in December, which turns Miami into an international arts venue and turns the entire city upside down. So we're really glad today to have on the program the director and the cast of Queen of Basel. And I'm not really great at pronouncing names and all of that, but I'm going to make a stab at this. Cristina Angelis is the director. Wave, so we know who you are. Okay. And we have Silvia Dionicio.
Oh, wow.
Did I do it? Okay. One of the actors, Kelvin Grullon and Christine Spang.
Hello. Yeah.
Welcome to Artsbeat. So, first of all, why don't each of you tell me what your role is in this? I know one of you is the director, and the three of you are the actors in it. But what part do you play, and what is the play about? We'll start with you, Cristina, the director.
Hi, I'm the director. I'm Cristina Angelis. And the play is inspired by Strindberg's Miss Julie. And it's called Queen of Basel, and it takes place at the Art Basel Festival in Miami, and touches upon an heiress, Julie, who's sort of navigating her life circumstances in juxtaposition with two other Latino characters, John and Christine, and really just coming to terms with her own level of upward mobility while it's also conflicting with theirs. And it's really fun.
That was really nice. That was very nice.
It's like I've done it before or something.
It's like you're the director.
Yeah. And any of you know the play before you auditioned or got involved in it?
Oh, no.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the playwright, but I've actually never read Queen of Basel. But I love Hilary. Hilary's amazing.
And I know that for the four of you, this is your first appearance or production that you've done at TheaterWorks in Hartford.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Hartford debuts in the building.
Yeah. So I guess, why don't you, we'll start with you, Kelvin, because you're sitting next to our director. What role do you play, and is this a departure from the usual roles you get to play, or what is unique about it that drew you to the production?
Interesting. So I played John, the Uber driver with ambitions, as we have, as we like to say. I mean, that's an interesting question. I don't think this is a really big departure from the roles that I usually play. I think I end up playing roles or characters that seem to, have good intentions, but end up in the wrong side of on the wrong side of the street. They're in the wrong place. No matter how well intended they are, that their needs get the best of them and expose the darker side of their humanity. But I think in also similar to other roles, there's some level of redemption that could be found.
Mm-hmm.
It's really up to him to figure out if he wants to redeem himself and how, but it's there. It's there for taking if he chooses to. And that could change from night to night. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're still figuring that out.
Yeah. And what about you, the other Cristina?
Christine.
Christine.
It's funny because there's like a bit in the play that actually addresses that exact thing. I'm Christine, she's Cristina, and her character's name is Christine.
Wish me luck.
I play Miss Julie. I would say, I mean, she's relatable to me in that we're both from Miami, so I can understand the community she's around, and I can kind of dive into that world pretty easily. But there's a lot about her that's super challenging, just as a performer in itself. She goes through a really intense, crazy journey throughout the entire play. So I think with that regard, it's a departure. I haven't been as challenged as probably this role in my career. So it's something it's an opportunity that I'm super grateful for, and grateful to all of our collaborators at TheaterWorks in Hartford for allowing me the opportunity. So I'm very excited.
And she's amazing.
She's so good. It's wild.
Very excited to share the piece.
And we have one other cast member. So what is your role, and how did you get involved in this?
So I play Christine, not the director Christine or the actor Christine. I play the character Christine. And how did I get involved? You know, just a regular process of auditioning again and again.
It was like only 3 times.
It felt like 7, but yes, it was only 3.
6.
It was 6.
For me, I would say it's a very, I feel like I do play a lot of immigrants, a lot of just people who migrated and are trying to figure out their new position in, you know, America. And it just thrills me because I am also an immigrant, and I'm like, that's the kind of stories I want to be telling. So yeah, I'm really happy that after the whole 3 auditions, I got cast.
A question that people ask me to ask people, particularly theater people, when they come on this program: what was the first play that you saw that made you think, I've got to do this, I've got to have this as my career? Do you remember back when you said, all right, I've got to act, and this play challenged me to want to do that?
It wasn't in the seeing of something, it was in the doing. I was in 8th grade and I was playing Annie. That was the beginning and end of my musical career. But I was playing Annie, and in the reprise at the end of Tomorrow, these like little girls rushed the stage and just were waving at me saying, hi. And the fandom just got me. I was like, oh my God, they love me. I was really overwhelmed with the idea that you can create this whole world on stage and have people believe it and have them feel something and give happiness to people and just experience something. So it was literally instantaneously in that moment that I was like, I think I gotta do this.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same for me. It was something I did. I was doing this tour, and I think I actually shared this with some of you guys, for this play about bullying, and it was just fun. And then one day, one of a parent came to us, and they were crying and sharing how like the play touched them so much, and their kid had been struggling, and it felt to me like, oh wow, this is actually meaningful. We're actually touching people's lives, and we're influencing how they feel, how they think, how they act. And we can use that for the bettering of the world. And yeah, it clicked for me then. Yeah, I want to do this.
And what about you, Kelvin?
Such beautiful stories. I don't have something like that. So I don't have a thing that I saw or a particular one project that I did, but when I was in college, I went to University of Virginia, and I'm from New York. So for me, it was a big culture shock, or, you know, a big shift. And being in Virginia, I was one of maybe like 30, 40 Latino students in a campus of like thousands. And there was a sense of like missing home, missing culture, missing my people, missing my environment. And it felt like people that were my peers also had that same feeling. And what we would do is we would put on shows. We would put on skits, we put on sketches, we would have, you know, cultural nights and celebrating the different Latin cultures that were on campus. And the act of doing that was just this force of like, oh, I gotta do this again next semester. I gotta do it again next semester, because this is what's bringing me not just joy, but community. And after doing that for like 4 years, or I guess 3 years in college, I finally decided to take an acting class, and I loved it. I was bit by the acting bug, and there was just a sense of like, not this is making me do it, but rather like I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then I actually ignored it for like 3 years. I graduated in Virginia, got my degree in architecture, worked in an office, and after 4 years of working in an office, I was like, yeah, no, I gotta go back to that. That was the thing, and made the shift.
And director Cristina, what intrigued you into theater, and how did you become a director rather than an actor?
Well, through a series of unfortunate circumstances. I'm a public school kid, and in Montclair, New Jersey, I had a really awesome performing arts program at my public high school. And I was a stage manager in high school because I really didn't want to do athletics anymore. And much to my parents' dismay, I said I would learn how to stage manage. And they were like, what's that? And I was like, I don't know. But I did end up sitting next to the director every single day. Her name was Pat Woodward. And she was the first person to teach me what being a director did. And so I would watch her like bring us all together on like every day after school, 5 days a week. And I just found myself developing my own point of view and wanting to take a shot at it myself. So I first had the idea that I would want to direct probably, when I was like 15, 16 in high school. And then I took a shot, and here we are. I guess.
Actual shot?
A shot of coffee.
Silence.
But yeah, so it was because of her, really. And then going to college in New York City and having theater in such close proximity, I thought if I didn't at least attempt to do it, that I would probably always wonder. And so here we are.
Did you know the play before you were asked to direct it?
No, but I knew Hillary. And so I've long known and admired her. And so when she was told that the play would be being produced, she made a list of directors, and rumor has it I was at the top of it.
So tell us a little bit about the playwright.
A little bit about Hillary. She's fantastic. She's like a TV writer and a theater writer. And she's been a really tremendous voice, I think, in the American theater, especially recently, for telling our stories the way we would tell them, and also telling more stories than just what you would assume you would hear when you hear about Latino, Latina characters on stage. And so she just lets us take a bit of a deeper dive into who we are as a people, which is always appreciated.
As a director and as actors, do you have access to the playwright? Is she attending rehearsals or offering feedback on what you're doing? Because to me, it would be a unique opportunity to work with a living playwright who's constantly producing work, as opposed to a Shakespeare or somebody from the past or Strindberg, that really isn't around to adapt and offer you advice as to what they meant.
She unfortunately isn't in our rehearsal room this time around, but the play's now been produced. I think this is the third time it's being produced. So it's pretty set in stone, and it'll be published soon. So she very much gave us her blessing, and we're running with it.
So you guys are in the midst of rehearsal to open next week, and then it is in live performance and streams. Are they going to film one performance to be streamed, or are they going to film multiple performances and edit it?
I think they're filming 2.
I'm not sure.
Don't quote me.
No.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to take a.
We'll know that for sure.
Yeah, we're going to take a fast break to acknowledge our underwriters, and we'll come back with more Artsbeat. Before we do, if you want tickets to this production, which is at TheaterWorks in downtown Hartford, you can get your tickets at twhartford.org. When we return, we'll be chatting more with the director and the cast of Queen of Basel. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. I'm Mark Auerbach, and we'll return after these messages, so don't go away.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here. Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to Artsbeat, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach. If you've missed a part of today's program or you want to share it with friends or watch it again, it'll be archived on YouTube under WSKB Community Radio. One of the great things about TheaterWorks in Hartford is it produces plays and musicals with many voices, many points of view, and it's in a great theater facility in downtown Hartford. And TheaterWorks, unlike many of the other arts organizations in our area, kept on going throughout the pandemic. They streamed a lot of shows, they brought a lot of music into their studios, and they really are, in my opinion, as an arts reporter, one of the most adventurous but most fun places to go to see a play. I've seen some great plays that offer very different points of view than you might necessarily get in some of the other theaters, and Queen of Basel certainly represents that. It is an all Latinx company of actors, creatives, and directors, and it presents points of view that you're not going to see in some of the other theaters around. So I have to say that this is one that I highly recommend. And TheaterWorks is in the heart of downtown Hartford, plenty of parking nearby if you've never been. They renovated a beautiful old space on Pearl Street, and it's definitely one of the best places to see live theater in our area during the year. So I can't wait to see this production and to meet and see what these actors and directors do with a play that is based on the classic by August Strindberg called Miss Julie, but it's set in Miami during the Basel Art Festival, which is internationally known and puts Miami on the cultural map. And I lived and worked in Miami for a short period of time during the Basel Art Festival, and Miami turned itself upside down in terms of being inviting and showing such a vibrant quality of life throughout its neighborhoods. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this play set during that art period represents a classic and how you guys bring it to life. So we know what your roles are, and we know the run of the show, and it runs through February, so you need to get your tickets now. But a question, TheaterWorks is bouncing back along with every other theater. How did the pandemic shape and the return to live theater shape your careers? How did you end up getting through the pandemic? And what did you miss the most about theater during that time that you're getting to recapture now? Any one of you can answer that.
Whoa.
What a deep. I mean,
Who wants to say?
go for it if you want.
Well, I actually typically work in TV and film, and at the top of the pandemic was like I was about to start my first play, like my return to theater. I graduated NYU. I trained in theater, but it just so happened like once I graduated, I left and started in TV and film and focused on TV and film. So the top of the pandemic, I was really excited to like get back into theater, you know, and like go back to my true love. But then that was shut down. And I just, you know, it's heartbreaking. I for all of our Broadway community, it was a really tough time. And I felt very lucky. I had a great support system and was able to work in other ways during the pandemic. But definitely challenging, as for so many.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everything was gone, so there was not much to do. I mean, I think the way I got through the pandemic was with two art forms in a way. The first thing that I picked up was DJing. I was bedroom DJing for myself. I bought small equipment and I just kind of learned how that art form works. And you know, was able to spend time learning music and learning how to play music, and that was really fulfilling for my soul. I'm someone that grew up surrounded by Dominican music all my life, and so, you know, it was sort of the way that I fed myself. The other thing that I ended up doing is I work with a theater company called Literature to Life, and this company adapts and produces one-person plays based on novels, and I get to perform a one-person show based on a book called The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde. And because it was a one-person play, what we were able to do was go to schools, normally we perform for high school students and college students, and I was able to go to schools, perform. Students would be able to stay masked once everybody came back to the classrooms. I was able to perform and do theater that way, and also do theater remotely, literally like with my phone on Zoom, performing for a Zoom classroom, you know, in the throes of the pandemic. So I was my own cameraman, my own director, my own producer, my own sound designer, my own everything off of my living room. And, you know, that carried me pretty well. And I felt like I didn't have a full departure from performing. But, you know, to counter that, I also had nobody to perform across. Like this is one of the first projects I have. This is the first project I have in maybe 3 years with another person on stage that is giving me something back that I'm like, oh, feelings, emotions. Yes, I can give you some, instead of, you know, me doing it to myself, you know?
Yeah.
That managed to get me through, but I think I was fortunate in that way.
I think it changed all of us to a certain degree. When the pandemic hit, wasn't allowed to have people in the studio, and part of my life is being a theater reporter. There were no plays to cover or anything like that. I ended up streaming a lot of theater and got to see some phenomenal performances and music from theaters around the country and around the world, actually. But there is a certain vibe, and I don't know if you feel it on stage, but I do in the audience. There's a certain vibe between the actors and the audience that can't be replicated on film or television. And when I got to go back to see performance live and have people in the studio that I could interview live, the vibe that really pulls us all together as theater people, I had missed that so much, and it was like a renaissance for me coming back to seeing shows. And I am so grateful now to get to see any kind of performance and to interact, which is something I thought we were all going to lose forever.
Oh,
no.
You know?
I don't know.
No, it really is a two-way street, right? Like we are feeding off of your energy, what you're bringing into the room. And so our performance varies because of the audience, right? Like our performance isn't always going to be the same. That's impossible, but it's going to be off of the factor that the elements that changes is the audience. So we really are connecting to you, trying to make you feel something, you know, and if we just
can you tell when you're doing a play whether the audience is with you or you're fighting to get their attention?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
There's been moments where I walk off, I was like, I've lost them. They're not here.
They're not here.
Yeah, Cristina, the director, when the show opens, do you stay with the show like this through its run, or do you move on to the next project?
Usually directors after opening night move on to the next project. Yeah, so I'll be here because of just some obligations in Hartford. I think I'll be here through our We open on a Friday, and my whole family will come and then leave on the Saturday. And then I'll be here through the Sunday matinee. And then I'll be on to the next one.
Yeah. I know that it's not always a fair question to ask, but do you all have plans after this production to move on, or is it back to auditioning?
Back to audition.
Back to living on the water raft homeland.
Back to the grind.
Back to the grind. We only have about a minute here. So this show airs throughout Western Massachusetts to a broad spectrum of people. What would you tell them they can expect, or what would you like for them to expect when they come down to TheaterWorks in the next couple of weeks?
Ooh. I would tell them to expect really dynamic characters, and really the play is really language based and it's really character driven. And so to me, it feels like a good tennis match. Like it feels like watching Serena's last US Open. And so it's nice to see really excellent actors having really excellent dialogue thrown their way and seeing how they take it and run with it. That's my answer.
No, I'm having a tough time watching Serena's last match.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think you can expect characters that are like any other human. They're messy and they're trying to figure their shit out. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but they're trying to figure their stuff out. And I think, with life, life takes you to interesting forks on the road, and you have to make choices. And so you're getting to watch these characters come up to really difficult decisions, and what are they gonna do? And I hope that watching of that, everybody's heartbeat syncs together and everybody holds their breath, wondering what's gonna happen next.
Well, I want to thank the four of you for being here this morning. We are chatting with Cristina, the director of Queen of Basel by Valerie Bettis. It is at TheaterWorks through the end of February. Make sure you get your tickets at twhartford.org. We have Silvia, Christine, and Kelvin, who are the members of the cast. I look forward to seeing Queen of Basel when it comes up. Thank you for being here this morning.
Have a good morning. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a commercial break to acknowledge our underwriters, so we'll be back with more Artsbeat, so don't go away.
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Underwriting is brought to you by Boise Cascade Distribution, providing products and services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardie siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to Artsbeat, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach. If you've missed a part of today's program, or you want to share it with your friends or watch it again, it's archived on YouTube under WSKB Community Radio's YouTube page. And Peter Coles is our chief engineer today. Our next guests come from the University of Massachusetts, the Augusta Savage Gallery on the UMass Amherst campus, where a very important exhibition exhibition called Portraits in Red, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls is on display through April 28th at the Augusta Savage Gallery. And with us is the gallery director, Alexia Cota, and the visual artist, Nayana Lafond, who put this exhibition together. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you so much.
And let's talk about the exhibition. It just opened. It runs through April, through the end of April, so people can get up to UMass and catch it whenever the gallery is open. But it's portraits of Indigenous women who are some of these women, and what made you choose to do the portraiture of them?
Well, a lot of the women are, well, I have to first say that a lot of them are also men and two-spirit individuals, and most of them are either actively missing, were murdered, are survivors, or family members or activists actively working in the crisis. So I decided to do this. I like to say it was less that I decided to and more that it became something I had to do. I fell into it. I started with one painting and it snowballed from there. People kept coming to me and asking me to paint them or their loved one. So I just kept doing it and it became a project.
And how many portraits are going to be on display?
Approximately 20 to 25. We're finalizing the exact number right now.
Yeah, and when people come to see the portraits, will they get a backstory on who these people are?
Yes, as much as their family allows me to share. Some will have full backstories with articles that were written about them. Others will just have a very small blurb, but it really depends on the family and their situation.
And I mean, there are so many people that fall into this category. How were you able to select the people that you chose to immortalize in portraiture?
Well, I guess in that respect, I made it both easy and difficult for myself by saying that I wouldn't select, that I would just accept all that was brought to me.
And I mean, there could be hundreds and hundreds if once people knew about this. So will the project continue after this particular exhibition?
Well, I am actually up to 107 portraits at this moment, and this isn't the only exhibition. I just sent out 40 portraits to a Pacific Northwest coastal tour. I have a show opening in Boston as well next month. So this will probably continue, I foresee, possibly the rest of my life.
Wow. How did you get into becoming a portrait artist, and what intrigued you about this kind of a project?
I was never a portrait artist before. I became one because this project needed me to be one. I was already an artist before. I would do less portrait-based work, more abstract mixed with realism. I'm also a sculptor.
And
this project, like I said, it sort of found me, as cliche as that sounds, and it required me to become a portrait artist. So that's what I became.
How did it find you? What do you remember the situation or the circumstance when you said, I have to do this?
Yes. It was on May 5th of 2020, and I was in a group on social media on Facebook called Social Distance Powwow. And I just saw one selfie someone had done with the red hand, and May 5th is the day of remembrance for MMIW. So I reached out and said, could I paint this? They said yes, and the response was so overwhelming. I sort of did one post as an open call and said, I'll paint anyone who sends them to me out of boredom. And I received 25 the first day. So it was then that I realized that I had to leave that door open and paint all that were sent to me.
Have you found it, I'm not sure exactly the right word, but have you found it overwhelming to do this? Do you have to take a break from it, or are you charged by it and just can't stop?
Both. I keep a pretty steady pace, being up to 107 at this point, but there are times where I need to take a day or two and take a break and work on something else, because it's very heavy. Talking to the families is heavy. I'm also doing this work for free, so I have to do other work to sustain myself.
Yeah, are there any of the ones that you're going to put up at the Augusta Savage Gallery? Are there any that really had an impact on you more than some of the others, or a story of one of the people that lives inside you and forces you to continue to do this?
There are many stories along the way like that. In of the pieces that are in this particular show, I'm kind of going through them in my brain. There's quite a few younger people who are in their 20s, and you can spot them because I can only paint what's sent to me. So I'm receiving photographs, and you know that these people were young not only by their appearance but their selfies. You can tell they were a selfie, and those really strike me because I think about how much life they had ahead of them that they no longer have, and what stories that they will no longer be able to live.
And are most of the people known to be dead, or I mean, they're all missing? Is there any possibility that some of them are around and in hiding and might return?
There's a very small chance. The majority of the people, their bodies are found shortly after they've gone missing. There are a handful of the 107 that I painted so far who are still actively missing, but at this point, the chances of them found alive, they become less and less every day.
Do the families get to see your final work once you've done it? Do you send them a photograph of it, or something like that? Or are they coming to the exhibitions when they're on display?
They get to watch me paint the painting online. I paint them on social media live. I also give them unlimited prints, and a lot of the families do make it out to the exhibits. They follow me through my process online, and every time their piece is shown, I let them know, and they know where it is, and they're very active in the process, which I think is important.
Yeah. Alexa, what made you decide to bring an exhibition like this to the Augusta Savage Gallery?
When I saw the work, when I saw the portraits, they are incredibly striking. I've known Niana's work for many, many years. She has exhibited in group shows at the gallery before, but seeing just one portrait and just seeing one portrait that she's painted with this series, it was an immediate, I have to ask her if she'd like an exhibition at this gallery. Yeah.
And what is this the only exhibition at the gallery right now, or are there others ongoing? Because I'm not very familiar with. I mean, I know where it is on the UMass campus, but I have to admit I've never been.
It is the only exhibition that will be running this spring. So it'll open on January 30th. And it's actually, Niana generously allowed us to extend the time. The spring semester was shifted a little bit. So we have more time with the work. The work will be up until May 12th.
And are there any programs around the exhibit for students or for the UMass community or the general community that explain the exhibit, or workshops or informances surrounding the exhibition?
Yes, Niana will be doing an artist talk on Wednesday, February 8th at 6 p.m. So she will be in the gallery with the work and speaking about it. We also have on April 21st, the Anishinaabe Theater Exchange will be here doing a performance of How We Go Missing, which is a theater piece that they wrote on the same subject matter. And there will also be some additional activities with the Anishinaabe Theater Exchange. They're going to be here for a few days. There's a wellness workshop planned, so stay tuned for that date and time.
And how can people that are listening now learn more about the Augusta Savage Gallery and the exhibition? Is there social media presence or a website?
Yes, if you follow us on Instagram at Augusta Savage Gallery, or come to the website, www.fineartcenter.com/Augusta. You can see what we have going on in the spring. And if you want to just go straight to the page that has information about Nayana's exhibition, you can go to www.fineartcenter.com/portraits in red.
And give us an idea of the hours that people can go. I mean, I know a lot of people from here go up to the Fine Arts Center for live performances, but can they combine a visit for that and the exhibition, or are the hours significantly different?
It all depends on the performance, what day the performance lands on. So the gallery is open on Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 to 7 p.m. and Wednesday through Fridays from 1 to 5 p.m. And I am always open if you need a chance to see it and you'd like to combine, or you're traveling, just contact the gallery, and I am happy to try to make it work to open up the space to people who want to see the exhibition.
And are there any programs available? A lot of the people in the communities around here, are there programs for school kids to come see this, or high school kids where there's guided tours of it, or in-class opportunities?
Yes, I'm happy to open up my doors to any classes or students that would like to come see this work. If Nayana is available, we can try to arrange that if she has that time in the schedule. But the gallery is always open to classes, elementary school and up, and we do speak about the work. We speak about what the gallery does, and happy to arrange that. Happy to.
A lot of people don't know about the gallery, but it is open year-round, and you must be planning your exhibits a long time in advance. So what follows this? Just a couple of quick brushstrokes. What follows this over the months to come, so people can get up there on a regular basis?
I can't quite announce what we have coming up in the future. The season hasn't been announced yet. We actually follow the academic calendar. So once the school semester is over in the spring, we do close down for the summer and plan and prepare for the next season. So the next exhibition will open up in September of 2023. And I can't quite divulge what that exhibition will be or its title, but that will be announced during the spring.
And it is to go, is it free, or is there an admission charge?
Everything the gallery does is free and open to the public.
That is fantastic. And I understand there is an opening reception on the 30th at Augusta Savage Gallery. And like gallery hours, again, Monday and Tuesdays, 1 to 7, Wednesdays through Friday, 1 to 5. And the entry is free. That's fabulous. We're going to take a quick break to acknowledge our underwriters, and we'll be back with more Artsbeat and get a chance to learn more about this phenomenal exhibition at the Augusta Savage Gallery on the UMass Amherst campus. Peter Coles is our chief engineer. I'm Mark Auerbach, and we'll return after these messages.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Welcome back to Artsbeat, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Auerbach. Peter Coles is our chief engineer, and we're spending this segment at the Augusta Savage Gallery at the University of Massachusetts campus in Amherst. We are chatting with Nayana LaFond, who is the artist behind Portraits in Red, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. And we are talking with Alexa, who is the curator and the director of the Augusta Savage Gallery. Nayana, a question for you. How did you get into visual arts, and where are you based?
Well, I'm based in the North Quabbin area, and I I feel like I was born into visual arts. I've just always been a visual artist since I could breathe practically. So when you put crayons in my hand, I was making art.
So basically, the North Quabbin is part of the neighborhood in terms of the Augusta Savage Gallery. Is this the first time that you've done a major exhibition in the 413, as they say?
Well, I had kind of a small exhibit at the Library in Northampton a couple months ago, and I've been involved in other exhibits, but I think this is the first time I've had a solo exhibit at a kind of a larger space.
Where did you train in art?
I went to Greenfield Community College, then I transferred to Mass College of Art, and then I dropped out.
Wow! So you are locally born and raised, and you're on your home turf.
Yes, I'm an Amherst High School grad, actually.
How cool is that? These portraitures that you've done, are any of these people local people? Or are they?
There are a few.
And
there are a few local people. I hesitate to say who they are, but yes.
So, people think when you talk about indigenous women and children, they don't realize oftentimes that there's several indigenous communities in Western Massachusetts. I worked on a project last year for the Arts Extension Service and the Arts Summit that they did in conjunction with Arts Hub, and learned for the first time that there was a lot of indigenous artists and people working in the arts in Western Massachusetts that were actually born and raised here. I had no idea. So I was just curious how many of these portraitures are people from the local community.
I've done 2 portraits of people from the local Western Mass community and 2 portraits of people from Eastern Mass so far.
And so when you reached out, as they say on social media, the people that contacted you were from all over the country.
All over North America, in fact, including Canada.
And are the stories similar? Are the issues that these people faced that put them in this situation, are they similar? Do they, regardless of where the people are from?
They are, for the most part. Every story is different, but every story has overlapping similarities to it. So there's many different causes for this. So it could be anything from a domestic violence incident to pipeline companies moving into their community to trafficking, all of those things, but they all have sort of the same underlying issues related to intergenerational trauma and things like that. So all of our stories are very much the same, even with their differences.
Do you think do you think that this exhibit will change people's mind or open their eyes? And is there a solution that you foresee that could be implemented to stop this kind of violence against women and children?
Well, I think that exhibits like this and works by other artists, because there's actually a lot of artists all over North America making work about this subject. I think all of us trying to raise the profile of this should hopefully help. I hope so. I can't definitively say that it will or won't. I know I've had people come to me and say that they didn't know about this before, and so it raised their knowledge on the subject, and then they looked into it more and things like that. I've had some attention from governors and things like that, so that's at least getting somewhere with it. But as far as a solution, because there are so many different causes, there are also many solutions. And the only way to really solve this is for all of them to happen. So it's a very complicated subject, which makes it all the more difficult for people to even digest, because when you hear about it, you want to solve it, you want to fix it, but it's not one fix, it's many.
Alexia, you programmed this, and it's an exhibition that is very important. How will it attract the students on the UMass campus or the UMass community or the community at large? Where do you think the audience is going to come from?
I think the audience will come from everywhere. I'm thinking that there will be a lot of class visits. The faculty here at UMass are very, very active in bringing their students to the visual art spaces to tie the exhibitions to their academic work. So I do see a lot of students coming in. The building, the New Africa House in which the gallery is located, does have different organizations, including the Afro-Am department. So there are a lot of students coming through here, and the gallery is located right off of the lobby. And I believe that the second people catch a glimpse of a portrait out of the corner of their eye, they will come in, and that will have a ripple effect. And also the fact that this is a large issue for North America. And I believe that people are starting to become aware of this issue. I think that will attract many people within the community, and hopefully Western Mass, Eastern Mass, the New England area, and further, people will come in and see this.
Yeah, Nayana, you mentioned that you have other exhibition or other parts of these portraits on display in other parts of the country. If somebody's listening in today and they're not from Western Mass, where else could they get a glimpse of these?
Well, I have about 10 pieces on display at the Emerson Museum in Bozeman, Montana, opening the 27th of this month in Oregon at the Pacific Maritime Museum. Will be the Pacific Northwest Coastal Tour. So those paintings, about 40, will be spending the next 2 years going up and down the West Coast. In addition, a Beacon Gallery in Boston on Harrison Avenue will be hosting some of the pieces for February and March.
Do you have any social media presence or a website so people could learn more about your work online?
Yes, I have all of the above. NayanaArts.com, and yes, there's 2 A's next to each other. That is my website, and all my social media is right there that you can click on. I do paint live stream usually on my TikTok, so if anybody wants to actually watch me work, you can find me there.
Yeah, sometimes when we talk about art, people can go online and see some of it. It makes a big difference in retrospect, so it's good to know that you have a social media presence. And in terms of the gallery, is there a website, and can people learn about what's going on at the gallery online?
Yes, at www.fineartscenter.com/Augusta.
Okay, and if people plan to go to this, is there any information they can get online to prepare them for what they're going to see ahead of time?
Yes.
Okay.
If you click on the, you'll see when you go to the gallery's main website, the different events. If you click on the exhibition, there's a lot of information there, including a link to Nayana's website, as well as information about the partners that we've had that help bring this exhibition to campus, and hours and directions and contact information if anyone would like to contact me directly.
Who helped you in terms of sponsorship bring an exhibition like this? Are there any corporate sponsors or foundations that are helping bring this to Amherst?
New England Public Media, NEPM, has sponsored the gallery's full season. And this exhibition is in partnership with the Women of Color Leadership Network here at UMass.
Okay, we've got to give credit where credit's due, to bring stuff in. And Alexa, how did you get involved in Augusta Savage Gallery?
I was a painting major at UMass. I was an art student, and there was a gallery guard position open. I applied for it, got the job, and then once I graduated, applied for a managerial position working with the gallery director at the time, Dr. Terry Janor, and I've been here ever since.
Well, it's a great gallery, and it's certainly presenting good exhibitions. So congratulations on what you're bringing to Amherst.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is an important space on campus.
It certainly
Very
is.
fond of it.
We're just about out of time, but I want everybody to know that you can see Portraits in Red, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls by Diana LaFond at the Augusta Savage Gallery on the UMass campus in Amherst, running through April 28th. And there are hours almost every day, and you can learn more about it at fineartscenter.com. I want to thank both of you for being here today and sharing information on this. And Diana, I want to go to your website and watch you paint. So how many portraits are you doing at any given time?
I work on one at a time, but I work very quickly, so it only takes me between 3 and 12 hours to complete a portrait. So I usually do them in 1 or 2 sessions.
So if we go and watch you online at TikTok or whatever your social media is, we could actually see, if we had the time, we could see you create a new work.
Yes.
And
There are actually, I have followers who specifically will log in when they see I'm started and stay for the entire piece.
wow. And these followers know about you from all over the place.
Yeah, the woman I'm thinking of right now lives in British Columbia.
Terrific. And give us the website again.
NayanaArts.com, and there are 2 A's, so it's NayanaArts.com.
I want to thank both of you for being here today, and I look forward to coming up to Amherst and seeing the exhibit.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and this wraps up another edition of Artsbeat today. If you've missed a part of today's program, or you want to watch it again or share it with friends, it's available on WSKB Community Radio's YouTube page. Peter Coles has been our chief engineer today, and we leave you with the Rose Dance from Kiss Me Kate, the musical by Cole Porter, as performed by the National Symphony Orchestra. We'll see you next week on another Artsbeat.